news. What are we doing now? What are we doing today?
I am taking over from Philippe Lauren. Like I'm just knocking out all of the central. I do that, and then I'm gonna go to a major mission. Maybe
Trojan horse.
Maybe Shandi. I think I'll do Shandi's missions after I take over.
Okay.
After I take over the central part of the map.
You got some money right now.
That's the point. Like, once I get enough money, I can also start getting some of the better upgrades and better weapons.
Cool.
And I'm just grinding right now, so discussions about anything and everything are welcome. Which brings us to, last time we left off on a little rumor I had read, you know, it's not like I'm in the know or anything, I just read it off fucking Reddit. But... But a rumor about
you read it on Reddit.
The MCU's take on the Xmen, which was that Professor Xavier and Magneto might be black people, like black actors.
Which is really cool with me because there's a lot of really good actors that they haven't tapped yet.
I would absolutely love that now, because after thinking about it for a bit and reading some other people's thoughts on the matter, I was like, not only is that a clever way to differentiate themselves from now two different timelines of X-Men.
If you see a poster, you'll know instantly that it's not the Fox Marvel.
Yeah, it's a nice way to differentiate, but it's also a nice way to kind of keep with the times a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because
you're doing a story about what is a superpowered minority group.
Yeah. Which it always was.
Yeah.
And
But they were always white, pretty people.
That was always especially a problem with the original. I wish I could fucking shoot that before it hit. I missed. Nice.
Nice.
That was always especially a problem with the original 5 X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you're freaks, but you're all like central casting white people.
The worst was, you know, like Cyclops and Beast are supposed to be like freaks, and they're like gorgeous, and Warren is literally like a millionaire.
Oh, Angel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Well, actually, that's the fun thing about the original X-Men too, is that there's 2 millionaires in the original X-Men comic lineup.
Who's the other one?
Xavier.
Oh yeah, well he's still a millionaire. Right?
Yeah, and so is Warren. Warren's still a millionaire. But we're the disenfranchised minority. We're gorgeous, we can fly, we have laser beam eyes.
I have angel wings.
I literally look like an angel.
I'm blonde and blue-eyed.
Yeah.
Like...
And I got more money than Jesus.
There you go. What's the problem?
it's a broken Aesop.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And this is supposed to be they're you know they're discriminated against. They're not considered human. All this other stuff. Like they're a minority group, so have them represented by minorities.
And I like that. And there was one person, a Reddit user. I wish I had their name. They had a really good point about if they're gonna do like a black guy's Magneto, like the bog simple and in a way worthless thing to do is to just, you know, haha, he's literally Malcolm X, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, you can still keep the genocide angle and just change it to a Rwandan genocide survivor.
Like he was like a child and you saw that instead of a child in the...
And that's when like camps. He manifested his power and everything.
It's also a more contemporary thing.
It would make him not like a 70, 80-year-old man.
Because I would be fine with Magneto, a contemporary Magneto being in his 40s.
Yeah, that's essentially what he was when Stan, you know, created him.
Yeah.
Because he was, what, in the early 60s?
Actually, a really interesting thing about him... Well, the thing is that the X-Men started in the 60s.
Yeah.
And if the camps happened in the 40s and he was a young man, then Yeah, he would have been like around his 40s or 50s.
Rwanda was in the 90s.
So yeah, you would have a guy who's like, let's say he was like a teenager in the 90s. That means that he would be in his mid 40s about now. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, that would work perfectly.
And you get to keep the genocide.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I hate saying that that's a hugely important thing to his character, but it's a kind of hugely important thing to his character, that he witnessed grand-scale cruelty of humanity, and it's part of the reason why he's kind of inhumane towards humanity.
Yeah.
He has to have suffered in his past, and just by saying he's Malcolm X, or he was part of, like, I don't know, the Freedom Riders, or whatever, that's weak, and that's what some people were talking about online, and I'm like, there's an obvious point there, but then at a certain point he kind of becomes Killmonger Part 2.
Well, there's the thing is that Magneto eventually becomes the genocidist, He eventually, he becomes the thing that made him.
Unless you're Chris Claremont. In which case, he was always meaning to just reform him, and I like reformed Magneto too.
Reformed Magneto is a good Magneto. The other,
but yeah, like Grant Morrison's Magneto, he's just a complete fucking hypocrite. He became the Nazis that harmed him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a completely valid. Either way they go, it's completely valid.
He's a really versatile character that way. Actually, there was one take on Magneto was when they were re-aging him. Mm-hmm. Where instead of being a victim in the camps, he was a guard in the camps.
I don't care for that.
It was a version of him where it was survivor's guilt that made him turn violent.
I honestly don't care for that.
No, I know. But I'm saying that, no, he was still a Jew. He was hiding the fact that he was a Jew. And so he has all of this guilt. And that's what kind of made him go crazy, like, I need to kill people before the bad things happen kind of guy.
I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of gave up on Xmen, like the comics, a few years back.
Yeah, I know. It was during the Ultimate stuff, right?
Well, that was the last time I really collected a shitload of comics. Was during the Ultimate years at Marvel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had already moved on by the time they changed Eric's name.
Oh.
Because he's no longer Eric Lensher, which...
Is he not?
No.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, here. Look up his new name, because I know that they changed his name, and part of the reason why they did that was because of the Fox thing.
They were changing his background so they wouldn't have to...
Wanda and Pietro were no longer his kids.
Alrighty.
And stuff like that, because... We're not going to share with Fox the
character name?
Yeah. Because Disney is stupid friggin' petty like that. Like, look at any of the Fantastic Four comics that just disappeared overnight.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, I found it.
What was his name?
His name now is Max Eisenhart.
It's so fucking lame. It's Eric Lensher. That's Magneto. I hate feeling like such an old man, but it's Eric Lensher.
My favorite of all time is still the 90s TV show. They must have had a similar problem because they had to change his name in that. His name is like Magnus something.
Oh, that has precedent in the comics.
Oh, does it?
It does.
Okay. But yeah, Max Eisenhart.
That's an awful name.
Eric Lensher is such a... But you know why Eric Lensher is such a better name? Is because he sounds like some sort of 1930s novelist. Like, he has a very unassuming name, and that's kind of the point of the alter ego thing, is that, like, Clark Kent does not sound like, oh, obviously he can leap tall buildings. Mm-hmm. Like that kind of thing. Like, Eric Lensher just makes him sound like, well, he was a banker back
in the 1930s.
And he was hit by a giant electromagnet.
Now he is Electromagnetman.
You may call me Magneto.
Neat.
Magneto.
Actually, did you ever read the original like Stan run?
No.
Okay,
I've heard about it.
I've read I believe it was the first 20 issues. It was all part of like a collection. The first time Magneto shows up in X-Men 1, they actually have like phonetically how you're supposed to say Magneto right after they introduce him.
Yeah, they would do that.
Magneto, and I was like, neat. It just made me friggin' laugh the moment I saw it.
So, since I haven't been paying super attention.
I'm at 91% of this island.
Really?
Yep.
Nice.
I've almost taken it all over.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. I'm
Nice, Kanye. Very cool.
I'm not the best at this game, but I'm fairly decent. I'm chewing through it pretty quick.
You've played it enough times where you kind of know the path of least resistance.
Oh, not at all. Like especially this ginkgo shit. That last one. If anyone was watching that, not just listening to us talk, I nearly died. Pretty hard.
But you didn't.
But I didn't because I ran.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had already got enough points for the thing. I've done this better, where I've literally killed everybody, and gotten some pretty high scores.
Yeah.
But yeah, not so much now. All right, so I got a gun. I think it's the laser. Yeah.
Oh, nice. You don't get to keep these, though, do you?
They unlock. I don't think they unlocked here.
Oh.
Okay, stop with the bullshit. All right, so who would you cast for, like, Black Eric Lensher and Charles Xavier? Although, that might be a case of renaming Magneto to maybe Max. Maybe not. I honestly don't know if Lensher is, like, a traditionally Jewish name, because I've never heard of anyone else but Magneto named Lensher.
It might be a German name.
It might be, in which case that's fine too. There's black Germans. Like,
the thing is I don't think that the name is so important. You could literally just have him Eric something.
yeah, Eric is probably the most important thing to me. I don't like Max as much as I like Eric because his name's Eric.
I like Eric and Charles, and I also there's a couple of constants between the two characters that needs to stay. Eric needs to be from nothing. Charles needs to be from privilege, because that's also another thing that they differ on. You know?
Yeah.
Is the fact that Eric kind of has the opinion of Charles, and I kind of little bit have the opinion of Charles, where it's like it's easy to have morals when you grew up with a spoon in your mouth. You know?
And a silver spoon.
Yeah. It's easy to have beliefs in people when you haven't had them with their, foot on your neck. Like, Charles can believe in people all he wants because Eric literally believes that, Charles, you're so precious, is how Eric seems to think of Charles. Is like, you've never seen the worst of humanity like I have. So you have no say in whether or not people deserve to live. And Charles is the other way, where he's like, I've seen people at their best, and I've seen people, in bad situations do good things, so you're full of shit, Eric. And both points of view, I feel, is important in an X-Men movie.
Shit.
Oh, crap.
Ah.
No!
I know. All of this was just shitty. Okay. And go. And go. Did you see that?
I did. Do you see?
Ah!
Damn it!
Woof. Woof.
Well,
I did it. I'm fine.
nice. The thing is that something I feel like an X-Men movie really needs to do right, and they've never done right, is that both Charles and Eric, both of their points are valid. Both of them have reasons, legitimate reasons to believe in what they believe, but Eric ultimately needs to be wrong. And I don't feel like the movies have ever done that properly.
Well, they love to actually make him kind of right.
And I don't like that.
Well, I love the meme, like the Grant Morrison new X-Men thing of Magneto was right.
Yeah.
I love that T-shirt. I want that T-shirt still. This late in my life, I still want a Magneto was right T-shirt. But while Grant Morrison had that, Grant Morrison's Magneto was one of the more monstrous modern interpretations of the character.
Yeah.
Like, he was a hypocrite. He was wrong. He's not right. So yeah, Kid Omega thought he was right, but he's also kind of a prick, so. But
as far as people I feel like could encapsulate both of those things, I think you were the one that brought up the one actor, the guy who played Gus Fring in
yes,
Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
And he's apparently been meeting with Marvel for an unspecified role anyway. A lot of people were assuming, for whatever reason, Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Or like Doctor Doom or something.
I saw him referenced as a Doctor Doom possible from one fan, and I'm like,
that's all right.
He's a good actor. Doctor Doom is the hardest character in the world to friggin' cast.
The thing with Doctor Doom for me, he has to have a really distinctive accent.
Well, I came up with a character when we last talked about who should play Doctor Doom, like, and it was outside of the the Let's Play, but I honestly believe that Bashir from
Deep Space Nine, he'd be a great Doctor.
That guy would be like the greatest Doctor Doom. He was.
I agree.
He was also that guy in the Crusades movie. I can never remember that friggin' movie's name.
Oh, Kingdom of Heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven. He was fantastic in Kingdom of Heaven.
And he has like 3 minutes of screen time.
Perhaps less.
And you remember him more than a lot of other characters in that movie. But, yeah, Bashir from Deep Space, he's really, really good. He's got a really distinctive voice. But yeah, Gus Fring as Magneto would work really well. Especially because of how terrifying he was in Breaking Bad.
Yes!
The scene in particular is the one where he walks into the room, cuts the guy's throat, and walks out as calmly as if he was doing laundry. And I'm just like, you are badass.
Yes!
You could totally play a crazy magnetic terrorist man. My pick for Charles is already another character, Lawrence Fishburne. He's Goliath, so he's kind of not available.
Lawrence Fishburne would have been a great Charles Xavier.
He's essentially a black Charles Xavier.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Morpheus, not his beliefs or his personality, but like just his manner of speaking, the kind of urbane way of talking that he has. I feel like he would have been a great, especially since Charles Xavier is not British. He's supposed to be from upstate New York.
Yeah.
Like, Lawrence has such a great voice, such a great, like, American accent for that kind of shit. And I'm like, you could actually have an American Charles Xavier for once. But, you know, he's Goliath, which I thought he was going to have some sort of bigger part in Endgame or something, because they introduced him as Goliath in the Ant-Man 2 movie, and that went nowhere.
Well, okay. I've said this before, I'll say it again, I'll say it a million times. I love Scott Lang in every movie other than his own movies.
And it's a fair point to make. His movies tend to be the most generic ones. And when people say, yeah, but they're more comedies than action movies, and I'm like,
they're not funny.
Well, there's that, and there's also the fact that Marvel movies are more comedies than action movies most of the time. Like, if I'm talking about a Marvel movie that's more of an action movie than a comedy, I would maybe go with Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That's more of an action
Or a movie that's completely forgettable, like The Hulk.
Yeah. Like, that's straight up not even a comedy. Like,
I don't know if I believe them.
And the thing is that I'm like, if I wanted a comedy, I would go with like Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's straight up a better comedy than an action movie. And Ant-Man is neither an action movie or a comedy movie, like, done well. If it was one and then it's kind of the other, that would be one thing. If it was like a fantastic action movie and you just have Paul Rudd being funny every now and again, which is pretty much how the first one is, I'd be fine with it. But the second movie has all like this weird stuff with the quantum realm, and I mean, Tim, you literally fell asleep when they got to the quantum realm in that movie. It was boring.
I couldn't keep up half an interest.
It was so boring. And I'm just like, we're supposed to be caring about the fact that they're looking for her mother. And I'm like, but the thing is that her mother is not a character I care about. And also, she doesn't feel enough like a main character in that movie for me to say, yes, this is really about you and Scott, but what is Scott's interest in this other than you're kind of the romantic lead, but you guys also hate Scott for 90% of that movie?
Scott has absolutely everything to lose in that movie and literally nothing to gain.
Like, he learned his lesson from Civil War. He's like, I want to be with my daughter and stop making me do these things.
Please?
Please? And they treat him like shit the whole time, even though he could, like, go to jail for, like, years. Whereas, when he showed up for Captain America, Cap shook his hand and he's like, I appreciate you being here. And I'm like, Captain America, a guy who just barely knows him. And Scott is all like, oh man, Captain America, this is so cool. And then, you know, I keep wanting to say Richard Gere. I know that's not who it is.
It's Richard Rider.
Why you do this to me? Douglas.
That's Nova. Yeah.
Yeah, Douglas. So,
Get out of the car.
like, Douglas is supposed to be, you know, Hank Pym. You know, brilliant mastermind scientist man who's also half a terrorist. Because the movie treats him like he's a terrorist on the run and stuff. And he's treating Scott like crap most of the time.
I don't quite remember the first Ant-Man movie enough. Why were the Pyms on the run? Like, I know it was like something to do with like Civil War made whatever, blah blah blah, but they weren't superheroes or nothing.
No. It was the events of the end of the first one that did that. It was
They killed Yellow Jacket, but he was like a crazy man who tried to kill like a child.
Yeah, but they blew up like a government facility.
Well, that'll do
to
it.
get to him.
That'll do it.
Because remember, he was under contract.
I honestly don't remember anything about that movie. I remember they had the bald guy from House of Cards.
Yeah.
And I love the bald guy from House of Cards. But I didn't care for him in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is the case with a lot.
A lot of stuff in this movie.
A lot of stuff inside the Ant-Man movies. Because I like Evangeline Lilly, too. I don't care for her Hope Van Dyne, like, at all. I thought I killed that guy. I guess I killed the guy in the backstage.
Her personality seems to be, I hate Scott.
Yeah.
But I'm also in love with him. And she's all about Scott all the time. And I'm like, this is kind of a really poorly written female character. Because all of her stuff revolves around Scott either being an asshole or helping her. And so, yeah. That's all I have to say about the Ant-Man movies.
Oh, God.
Oh, crap.
Pierce.
Get away from this guy.
Pierce, get in the car.
He's...
Thank you, Pierce. Let's go, Pierce.
You have a cop who's stuck inside Pierce.
That's fine. That happens. That's normal.
It's normal.
That's normal. All this is
it's
normal.
Stop and frisk. And the guy in the windshield, that's also normal.
It's normal. Don't worry about it.
And that helicopter chasing us, that's normal.
Perfectly normal.
All of this is normal.
Everything's going according to plan.
Everything's heteronormative here. We're all fine here. How are you?